This is the second half of our class about past continuous. The previous one was a theoretical class. We just talked about the uses and the structures of the verb tense, but now I want to practice this verb tense along with you, and I'm using Intermediate Grammar in Use, the book that you've got in your Google Classroom, okay? There at the Learning Center. You're not gonna be able to see me because I just want to share the screen with you. I want you to see the sentences in full. And I'll be reading and doing the exercises, solving them with you. Okay? Let's get started. Dear student, I really need to remind you that you've got to practice. It's not just watching the classes or watching the lessons. I really need you to do the exercises before we correct them together. Okay? And I will stick to this forever and a day. Let's go. Past continuous. I was doing. Study the example. We are going to study the example together. Try to read this text along with me. Okay, it's a good way of practicing pronunciation. Yesterday, Karen and Jim played tennis. They started at 10 o'clock and finished at 11:30. So, at 10:30, they were playing tennis. Remember what I told you? We are expressing what was happening at a specific point in time. At 10:30 or at 10:30, they were playing tennis. They were playing tennis equals they were in the middle of playing. They had not finished playing. And of course, as I told you, we are going to use verb to be in the past was verb plus ing. And this is the past continuous. Like he, she, it was playing, you, we, they were doing. Letter B, when we say I was doing something, I was in the middle of doing something at a certain time. The action or situation had already started before this time, but had not finished. So look at the examples. This time, last year, I was living in Brazil. What were you doing at 10 o'clock last night? Dear student, repeat it over with me. I waved to Helen, but she wasn't looking. Waved over acenar. If you don't know, eu acenei para Helen. I waved to Helen, but she wasn't looking. Now let's compare some sentences with past continuous and past simple. So, past continuous. I was walking home when I met Dan. In the middle of walking home. I walked home after the party last night. All the way, completely. You see the main difference? This is a completed action in the past, and this is an action happening in the middle. We are in the middle of it, but in the past. Next one, Kate was watching TV when we arrived. Kate watched television a lot when she was ill last year. This is complete. This was happening at a specific point. It was in the middle. And as I told you, you can see that Kate's watching TV describes the background for my arriving, right? When we arrived. And my arriving somehow interrupts Kate's watching TV. At least she would have noticed me entering the house. Okay, and somehow that's interrupting. Letter J. We often use the past simple and past continuous together to say that something happened in the middle of something else. Let's see the sentences. I want you to repeat them after me. Matt phoned while we were having dinner. Matt phoned while we were having dinner. It was raining when I got up. It was raining when I got up. I saw you in the park yesterday. You were sitting on the grass and reading a book. I saw you in the park yesterday. You were sitting on the grass and reading a book. While I was working in the garden. I hurt my back while I was working in the garden. But we use the past simple to say that one thing happened after another, like I explained to you, dear student. Remember that, right? If you use past simple after past simple, we are talking about one finished action happening after one finished action. Like the example here, I was walking along the road when I saw Dan. So these happened simultaneously. And the walking started happening before I saw Dan. And then I saw Dan and the walking continued. You see, one action that happens in the middle of another action. But when I say, so I stopped and we had a chat, stopped and had a chat first. I stopped, then we had a chat. That's obvious, right? I mean, it could have been that they continued walking and talking, but they stopped first and they had a chat after. How do we know that? Because these two verb tenses are the same. They are past simple. And if we've got that, the first action happens before the second, that happens before the third, and so on and so forth. Compare. When Karen arrived, we were having dinner. We had already started before she arrived. We were in the middle of it. But now, when Karen arrived, we had dinner, so we waited for her. Karen arrived, and then, after she arrived, we had dinner. Oh, something I forgot to mention during the lesson on the board. Remember the state verbs. State verbs are those that are not very frequently used in the continuous tenses because they do not quite represent an action, right? They represent a state of mind. And because of that, on the grounds that they represent states of mind, not actions, we don't use them in a continuous tense. But look at it, we've got two examples. We were good friends, we knew each other well. And the second, I was enjoying the party, but Chris wanted to go home. If you are not so sure about what state verbs are, watch present continuous video lesson, because there I talk a lot about these state of mind's verbs. Okay? Let's continue, guys. Now we are correcting the examples. Should I write them down? Would that help you? I think it would somehow help you. So I'm going to write it down, but it gives me some trouble. Let's wait and see if this computer is going to work. Yes. So 6.1. What were you doing at these times? Write sentences as in the examples. The past continuous is not always necessary. That's a good exercise for checking if you have understood when to use past continuous and when to use past simple. So look at number 1. At 8 o'clock yesterday evening, I was having dinner, because this is a specific point in the past. Number 2, at 5 o'clock last Monday, I was on a bus on my way home. What about you, dear student? What were you doing at 10:15 yesterday morning? Okay, pause this. Pause the video a little bit and answer this question fully. What were you doing at 10:15 yesterday morning? Interesting. I was working yesterday at 10:15 in the morning. Okay, let's do differently now, number 4. I'm going to ask you, pause the video, answer, and I'm going to... So, let's do it again. You will pause the video, I will ask you the question, you will pause the video, you will tell me the answer, and you will ask me the same question. And after that, you will get to the video again. Okay? So, what were you doing at 4:30 this morning? Oh, me? I was sleeping. Number 5. What were you doing at 7:45 yesterday evening? That's interesting. I was working. Number 6. What were you doing half an hour ago? What were you doing half an hour ago? Nice. I was working half an hour ago. Okay. Now 6.2. Use your own ideas to complete the sentences. Use the past continuous. Guys, you have to use your own ideas. So I'm not going to write this down because it's not a matter of having or existing a correct answer, right? So let's just do it orally. Number 1, Matt phoned while we were having dinner. Number 2, the doorbell rang while I was cooking. Repeat that. The doorbell rang while I was cooking. Number 3, The car began to make a strange noise when we were traveling to the beach. Can you repeat that? The car began to make a strange noise when we were traveling to the beach. 4. Jessica fell asleep while she was watching TV with her boyfriend. Can you repeat this? Jessica fell asleep while she was watching TV with her boyfriend. Number 5. The television was on, but nobody was paying attention. The television was on, but nobody was paying attention. Good. 6.3 now. You should use the verbs that are given to you in the correct form. And you will use either the past continuous or the past simple to complete them. Let's do it. Let's do this part of the exercise together. Number 1. So you see there's a picture for people walking on the street, and one of them is called Sue. I saw Sue in town yesterday. Can you repeat this? I saw Sue in town yesterday. Good. But she didn't see me. That's the correct answer. Oh, teacher, why didn't see me? Dear student, we know that see is a state verb. So if it's a state verb, it cannot be in the continuous tense, right? And the negative of the simple past is with didn't. So she didn't see me. She was looking the other way. She was looking. Now I know this is past continuous because it's a mark in time. Precisely at the point that I saw her, the point that I look at her, at that specific point, she was looking the other way. That's why she didn't see me. Okay, let's repeat number 1. I saw Sue in town yesterday, but she didn't see me. She was looking the other way. Very good. Now look at the second situation. There are 3 people. It seems to be an airport. And one is going to Rome, the other is going to Paris, and the guy whose bag is blue, whose briefcase is blue, I can't recognize where he's going. But let's see. Number 2, I met Tom and Jane at the airport a few weeks ago. Look, a few weeks ago is not a very specific point in time, so this is past simple. They were going to Paris and I was going to home. Because at that specific point, when she met them in the airport, they were in the middle of doing something. They were in the middle of going abroad in this case. So let me write this for you. I met, the past simple of meet is M-E-T, at the airport. They were going. We know that verb to be for they, for the pronoun they is were. They were going, that's past continuous, to Paris, and I was going to Rome. We, look at that, while we, one action happened while the other was happening. So we had a chat while we were waiting. That's the correct completion for this exercise. Waiting. We had a chat while we were waiting for our flights. Let's repeat number 2 all together with me. I met Tom and Jane at the airport a few weeks ago. They were going to Paris and I was going to Rome. We had a chat while we were waiting for our flights. Okay. Now, next situation. There are 2 people on the street. One is riding a bike and the other is crossing the street. Let's read what happened. I was cycling home yesterday. That is what was happening. I was cycling home yesterday when a man stepped. Remember that rule about past continuous describing the background? Okay, there was a man cycling. And an action that interrupts an action that was happening, that's past simple. So the action that interrupts in this case is the man stepping out into the road. That's why it's in the past simple. So I was cycling home yesterday when a man stepped out into the road in front of me. I was going, that's the way something was happening, I was going quite fast. But luckily at a specific point, I managed. It's not that I was managing, no, I managed at a point and it was over. I managed to stop in time and I didn't, I'll just use I here again because it sounds better with the pronoun. I didn't, oh my god, yes, now it's correct. I didn't hit him. I didn't hit him. Let's read number 3 again. I was cycling home yesterday when a man stepped out into the road in front of me. I was going quite fast, but luckily I managed to stop in time and didn't hit him. Okay. Now 6.4. What happens in 6.4 is that we should use either past continuous or the past simple to complete the sentences. Number 1, Jenny was waiting for me when I arrived. Number 2, what were you doing at this time yesterday? What were you doing? Verb to be in questions always is always allocated before the subject. So what were you doing at this time yesterday? I was asleep. Did you go out? Did you go out last night? Did you go out last night? No, I was too tired. Again, look, number 4, we've got one action that is explaining the background for an action that interrupts this explaining. So how fast were you driving? Were you driving when the accident happened? Number 5, Sam took a picture, this happened and finished, while I was not looking. This took some time. So you really need to figure out when I wasn't looking. You really need to figure out when you're talking about an action that happened during a time and an action that happened and finished. When we're putting these two verb tenses together, present, past simple, and past continuous, we should be attentive to these details. Number 6, we were in a very difficult position. No is a verb that represents a state, not an action, so past simple. We didn't know what to do. Number 7, I haven't seen Alan for ages. When I last saw him, he was trying, that was the temporary situation, that was the action happening, and this is what happened. When I saw him, he was trying to find a job. Number 8, I was walking along the street when I suddenly heard, that's the past simple of here, footsteps behind me. Somebody was following me. I was scared and I started to run. I was scared and I started to run. Number 9, when I was young, I wanted to be a pilot. Number 10, last night I dropped a plate when I was doing the washing up. Fortunately, it didn't break. Fortunately, it didn't break. My dear, I want you to repeat these sentences of number 6.4 together with me. So, repeat. Jenny was waiting for me when I arrived. Number 2, what were you doing at this time yesterday? I was asleep. Number 3, did you go out last night? No, I was too tired. Number 4, driving when the accident happened. Number 5, Sam took a picture of me while I wasn't looking. Number 6, we were in a very difficult position. We didn't know what to do. 7, I haven't seen Alan for ages. When I last saw him, he was trying to find a job. 8, I was walking. Oh, there is a missing vowel on this walking. I was walking along the street when suddenly I heard footsteps behind me. Somebody was following me. I was scared and I started to run. Number 9, when I was young, I wanted to be a pilot. Number 10, last night I dropped a plate when I was doing the washing up. Fortunately, it didn't break. Okay, and we've covered past continuous. One more verb tense that we have learned. Oh, I can't believe I hadn't taken this off the screen. It would have helped, I guess. But anyway, dear student, thank you very much for staying with me until now. Thank you so very much. I hope that you are advancing with your English. I want some feedback from you, whether or not you are perceiving that your English is getting better. I really want to know that. This is important. Okay? Thanks again. See you in our next video, which will be about present perfect. A more complex verb tense, but you see that it's a perfect verb tense. After all, it's present perfect. Anyway, thank you so very much. See you next class.